Part 71. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 707. Although the heart is bleeding, Yan Ji still stubbornly said, the host is still small, now it is the age of development, and no chest is normal. After that, let the powerful person rub more, and this chest will be big. Do NT worry about this, it's no use worrying about you. Chicken, suffered 100 times counterattack. After Yanj finished washing, open the host's closet and have a look. They're all bigger sportswear, not even skirts or shorts. In order to prevent the host from being fascinated by Zhang Jian, this father Zhang mother really broke his heart. Yan Ji found a set of blue sportswear to wear on his body, and was about to go out. He heard the sound of at the window. She walked over and opened the curtains. Zhang Xiaodong smiled and greeted her with a book in her hand. Yan Ji's eyes were very sharp, and at the first glance, he saw the cover of the book, which reads, Frenzy of the Beast World, Wolf King is too cruel. Is this guy because of his disability, so compare the book of the beast to himself? Yan Song stared at him blankly. Zhang Xiaodong is not very outstanding. He is about the same age as Zhang Jian, but this height ratio, but Zhang Jian is also okay. Regardless of the features or temperament, Zhang Jian is considered to be heaven and earth. When he laughed at the words, the ghostly appearance was really a bit wretched. The host likes him because Zhang Xiaodong has been courting the host deliberately, opening a door for the host that she didn't know from childhood. As for the words, she was too lazy to perfunctory this guy. After counting the acne on Zhang Xiaodong's face, the expressionless Song suddenly laughed at Zhang Xiaodong. With a smile on her face, this little face greeted the rising sun, like a little princess from a fairy tale. Zhang Xiaodong, who was still inexplicable, immediately laughed. But as soon as he smiled, Yan Song turned around, and he never went out. Yan Ji went to Zhang Jian's room again. She urgently needs to wash her eyes. She has lived for 10,000 years, such as a miserable life like the host. She has not seen one or two. She has experienced more, although she is calm, but she will not be numb. Because of this fusion with the host, although she has her own thinking, most of the time, the host's emotions can be clearly felt. Just as when I saw Zhang Xiaodong, I was anxious to chop this man into pieces of meat and meat. Zhang Jian was in the bath, and Yan Ji simply lay on his bed again, covering his head with a quilt. When she heard the sound of the bathroom door opening, she threw the quilt and said happily, "Brother, you taught me yesterday." Then half of it got stuck. The boy stood naked in front of the closet and exposed Yanjie. He had no idea that someone was hidden in his bed. The Song screamed ah, and quickly turned around and covered his head again with a quilt. "Brother, why don't you walk away without clothes?" Zhang Jian, whose face is redder than the words, quickly put on his clothes until his beating heart calmed down. Then he said, "You never knock when you enter the door. You can't do it next time." Yanj argued aggrievedly, "My brother's door was not locked, I came in as soon as I pushed, and I didn't have to knock on the door." He listened to her voice of apparent guilty conscience, and for some reason there was no displeasure, but he stretched his face to the bedside, "Get up and go downstairs to eat." Oh, Yan Ji crawled beside the bed with a quilt and asked him, "Brother, are you wearing your clothes?" After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 708. The movement of Yanj under the quilt was like a little snail with only a shell on his back, which made Zhang Jian inexplicably funny. He didn't shy away from seeing anyone, she was anti-customer. She poked her head in the position, "Well done." Yanj is still hesitating, "Brother, don't you take responsibility for me?" Before Zhang Jian responded, she said, "Last time Xiaodong played naked on the lawn and said that I saw him naked, so I had to be responsible for him. If he wasn't responsible, it was fair to let him kiss him. Brother, would you like to kiss me too? Her quilt was lifted by Zhang Jian the next moment. In his eyes was Zhang Jian's air-conditioned face. He kissed you. Yan Ji was ignorant, but still nodded. Well, kiss, Xiaodong said he must kiss. The words fell back as if I remembered something again. Ah screamed, then covered his mouth, looked at Zhang Jian with horror. Brother, it's bad, Xiaodong said he can't tell others, otherwise it will fail now. I told others that my face will be acne, and his body will also be acne. Zhang Jian snorted and was about to speak. Yan Ji suddenly laughed and rushed in front of Zhang Jian, holding Zhang Jian's waist, and said, but my brother should not be anyone else, my brother is the closest person. That shouldn't go wrong. The anger in Zhang Jian's body has been chasing because of her words. But looking down at her heartless and happy look, those anger became inexplicable sadness. If it weren't for his sake, she would certainly not be the silly person who would be cheated and still counting money at any time. He couldn't help but doubt, if she let her go, could she survive in the outside world like her? In the end, Zhang Jian said nothing, turned his lips and walked out. He didn't dare to open his mouth. He was afraid he would yell at her with his mouth open. He has always yelled at her these past few days, and every time he saw her weeping face, he felt uncomfortable in his heart, and therefore, for some days, she dared not to be close to him again. He can hide even on weekdays. Now that the relationship has finally eased, he really does not want to ruin the relaxation of the two because of his inability to control his emotions. The main thing was that he began to doubt whether his original purpose could really get her out of the devil, and he even felt that if she came out of this villa, she might be a corpse if she could never see her again. The thought made him scared when he thought about it. He has to think again. You must think of a surefire solution. However, before that, he had to get rid of the who dared to fool her. In the entire villa, except for Zhang's mother who took care of her, there was no one else. Because of this, Zhang's mother probably felt that her rights were so great that she even brought her son into the employer's house. Is it true that when he keeps one eye closed and one eye closed? Zhang Jian couldn't eat any more. He looked at the sweetness of the opposite side, and looked up and smiled at him from time to time. The tingling feeling in his heart even worse. Waiting for her to finish eating, he reached out and threw all the food beside him to the ground. Zhang Ma was in the kitchen. When she heard the noise, she hurried out. What's the matter with you, master? Isn't the meal out of your appetite? What do you want to eat? I will make it for you. Zhang Jian ignored her. Zhang Ma's heart was panicking. What kind of illness is this, young master? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 709. Zhang Ma was afraid that Zhang Jian had something to do with it, and he called the parents of Jiang's family on the phone in the living room. Jiang's father, Jiang's mother, was nervous about his son, and it took him 10 minutes to come. Of course, they also brought their daughter Zhang Tiantian. Zhang Jian glanced at them, and said in a stiff voice, the food is getting more and more unpalatable, and you have to change it here again. Zhang Tiantian immediately stuck to Zhang Jian's arm and held Zhang Jian's arm. Brother, you don't like it here, let's go home. Before she finished speaking, Mother Zhang scolded her, sweet, go upstairs with your sister. Zhang Tiantian turned her head and stared at the words, what are you doing here? Didn't you hear Mom let you go upstairs? After that, I lifted a corner of my skirt and stomped the stairs upstairs. Yan Song followed her silently. There is also Zhang Tianatian's room upstairs, but that room is a furnishing. Zhang Tiantian has never lived. When she went upstairs, she walked towards Zhang Jian's room. Yan Ji went to his room. Zhang Tiantian turned her head and saw that the song was silent. She would enter the door without even greeting her. If she was so angry, she lifted her feet and went to the song. Although Yan Ji looked straight ahead, her foot was fast and accurate, and she stepped directly on her foot. Zhang Tiantian screamed immediately. She stretched out her hand again to tweet, but the song had passed her and opened the door into the room. Zhang Tiantian, of course, was unwilling to accept the kick, and immediately chased into Menchao Yan's face. "Dare you step on me, you are a wolf, I will tell parents." This sentence really does not have any lethality to Yanj. Yanj is not as strong as Zhang Tiantian. However, she wins in her flexibility. Avoiding Zhang Tianatian's hand, Yan Ji took a step back, grabbed the chair and smashed Zhang Tiantian. Zhang Tiantian never thought that Yanj dared to hit her with a chair, and she was smashed directly on the ground. After a short period of persecution, her body was replaced by huge pain and shame, crying and yelling, "Zhang, and you white-eyed wolf bitch, I'll kill you." Yan Ji put her hand next to her mouth. Zhang Tiantian didn't want to, and bit it up. Zhang Tiantian cried hard while biting hard. Yan Ji touched her head with the other hand. "Even if I was a wolf, I was much better than a dog like you. You are a good dog who can bite people, keep biting, and bit deeper. Why are teeth that have been growing for 16 years so useless?" Zhang Tiantian was so mad that she rushed towards Yanj with a sullen expression. She wanted to overwhelm her to the ground and yelled, "Go and die, you are a scourge, you are not our Zhang family. Man, my brother is not your brother. If it were anti for your parents, you would have died, and you still beat me, you die." Yan Ji grabbed her hair by the way, and she yelled and cried again. "When I entered the house, I was still a pretty little princess, and now this shawl exudes a look of expression, this is a little devil." After Yanj choked the guy's hair, she was pushed down to the ground by homeopathy. Zhang Tiantian rode on Yanj and voluntarily grasped the dominant position. While going to Yanj's face, he continued to curse, "Don't be too proud of yourself. After this operation, parents will kick you out. You a fake princess, go back to your own slum." In the slums, it was terrible that this girl was raised by her father, Mother Zhang. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 710. The false door was pushed open at this time, and the first to rush in was the father Zhang. But seeing their own daughter is not vulnerable. Although they were surprised that their daughter was not in line with the madness of upper-class girls, they did not rush forward. Mother Zhang stood by and hated the ironclad denunciation, "Sister, what a fight between the two, can't get up quickly, this will be seen by others like something." Talking, but did not go to pull Zhang Tiantian. And as soon as she spoke, she said, "Anan, you are an elder sister, can't you just let the younger sister, it is not easy for the younger sister to come to see you, you have to fight with her." Zhang Jian rushed in at this time, and when he looked at the door, his pale face was even more white, and immediately rushed to kick Zhang Tianatian's shoulders, turning the person to the ground. Zhang Tiantian fell to the ground and cried, "How can you beat me, brother? She hit me, it's her white-eyed wolf, she hit me with a chair, and scolded me as a dog, and she also beat my hair." But in such a word, let alone Zhang Jian's disbelief, even Jiang's father and his mother did not believe it. Zhang An was in bad health. They knew it. When entering the door, Zhang Tiantian pressed Zhang An on the ground and beating. Seeing is believing. When Zhang Tiantian said this, she walked across the court. Mother Zhang picked up Zhang Tianatian's words and rebuked, "She is your sister, even if you say something wrong, you can also tell mom and dad, how can you hit her in a chair? Mom and dad have taught you so many people the truth, where did you teach? How can you treat your sister so hard as a sister?" Yan Jian was lifted from the ground by Zhang Jian, and she bowed her head without refuting the words of Mother Zhang. She had always been silent. Zhang Tiantian was so hurt by Zhang Jianyi's kick. When he looked up, He was clearly Zhang Jian's sister, but Zhang Jian kicked her away and went to help the song. Suffering from physical pain and headache, she suddenly grieved and cried. She walked to Zhang Jian and pushed the song away. "Brother, brother, she hit me with that chair, she is not pitiful as you think. Weak and weak, she was a whim, specifically destroying the relationship between me and my brother. Oh, she called me a dog." Yanj was pushed to the wall, her lean body leaned against the wall, her head hung down, and her shoulders covered her hair, covering most of her face, making it hard to see the expression on her face. At a glance, she saw her weak and fragile appearance. Zhang Jian's heart suddenly felt dull and painful. He reached out and pushed Zhang Tiantian away, and walked to Yanj in a few steps again, catching the bite of Yanj, the blood on the back of the hand still dripping with blood, trembling with anger. "Zhang Tiantian, you go. Are you still a girl? Are you? This is not a dog." Mother Zhang and Father Zhang also noticed this wound of Yanj. From childhood to age, they took good care of the host. The most feared thing was that the host would bleed and bleed. At this moment, Zhang Tiantian broke the back of Yan Ji's hand. Mother Zhang also changed her face and gave Zhang Tiantian a severe look. After listening to Zhang Jian's remarks, he said a bad song of reproach. "Why don't you be an elder sister? Pay attention, she wants to bite you, won't you avoid it? You just let her bite." Father Zhang was even more fancy than his mother about this son. He was so angry that he slaps his hands on Zhang Tianatian's face. "Jack, just make a joke, and take a bite of Zhang'an, and don't know if the blood will be infected. After my death, the villain blackened again." Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 711. If Zhang An's blood is really problematic, this is no different from the scourge of Zhang Jian. His father's stare at Zhang Tiantian was severe. Zhang Tiantian was held in his palms by his father Zhang, mother Zhang from an early age. When has he been beaten like this? She had stopped crying and was weeping in a whisper. She was slapped by the face of Father Zhang. Even though the pain was not as good as that of Zhang Jianying just now, she was crying with a cry of wow. She put her hand next to my mouth and asked me to bite her. Obviously she is herself. Why should you blame me? Elder brother is deceived and deceived by her, so how can you parents face her? She was bought for money, not your own. How can you treat me like this? For me, I'm right, I'm right. Mother Zhang and Father Zhang were unwilling to ignore Zhang Tianatian's remarks. They hurriedly dragged Yanj out. "The injury is still bleeding, so go to the hospital for examination." The voice was extremely nervous. The words hang down, and there is no word from beginning to end, and they are at their mercy. Zhang Jian followed and stopped for a few steps. When Zhang Tiantian rushed out of the room and followed, he turned his head and stared at Zhang Tiantian. His eyes were so cold, Zhang Tiantian felt panicked and frightened by his squint. Her teardrops fell again, and she subconsciously argued, "I really didn't want to bite her." She put her hand to my mouth. "Brother, brother. Believe me, she must know what she would do. She just thought I would take a bite, so I can't give blood to my brother in the future. Don't worry, brother, brother. She can't, I can also give blood to my brother." At the end, she cried again, "Brother, brother, you believe me. She is really speculative, she has no good intentions at all. Your blood is so dirty, I feel sick." Since childhood, this sister has been targeting Zhang An. He only often heard Zhang An's grievances afterwards. His parents said that it was normal for children to fight, and even he thought so. As soon as I entered the door, I saw Zhang Tianatian slapping picture on Zhang An, and his parents' painful and persuasive behaviors on the side. He seemed to be splashed inside and out ice dregs, from the heart to the hands and feet. Too terrifying. How could he have such a vicious sister? What kind of kidding is this? It's all one-sided bullying. Can she be bullied just because she bought it? Just because she was NT-born, she was just a tool that provided him with blood, so even if she knew her daughter was wrong, her parents would open one eye and close the other with unlimited pampering? How could this be? From childhood to age, is she privately treated by Zhang Tiantian many times? Zhang Tiantian stared at Zhang Jian with big eyes. At the age of 16, she not only painted eyeliner, but also long mascara. Even if this thing was waterproof, but she was crying and rubbing, her face was a messy picture. Even if she opened her eyes wide, there was no pitiful beauty of the little girls. Instead it looked really bad. Zhang Jian gave her an extremely disgusting glance, then turned and left. Zhang Tiantian experienced too many bad things on this day. She has not experienced so many frustrations in her 16 years of life. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 712. He was beaten by his fake sister, beaten by his father, stomped by his brother, and disgusted. Which one of them can make Zhang Tiantian collapse, let alone a few things happen together? She was held by her father, Mother Zhang, in her palms since she was a child. Where did she experience such frustration, and found that everyone left her and left, and the pain in her body seemed to be magnified? She sat on the buttock and cried, despair of being abandoned by the whole world. Yanj was taken to the hospital, where the rabies vaccine was needed because the wound was bitten. And after rabies vaccine, you need to observe and check again. This time Zhang Tiantian caused such a big disaster, Jiang's father, Zhang Mother, was furious. But even so, Mother Zhang still complained to Father Zhang, if a girl is so big, no matter how many she is, you shouldn't hit her. As the saying goes, beating and not beating, it's still your daughter. Hit her like this in front of her, where would she leave behind? When she said that, she did not avoid the words. After complaining about Father Zhang, she said to Yanj, your sister will be emotionally unstable if she is under too much pressure to live outside. You should be more considerate of your sister. This time you two were wrong. Dad slaps your sister for you. You go back and apologize to your sister, so that she can go down a step. This thing is over. You are still little sisters who love each other. Yan Ji bowed his head, nodded and shook his head. After all, it is not her own seed. The daughter was stupid from an early age. Mother Zhang glared at the impolite behavior of Yan Yanj, but did not speak. Just thinking about the chassis, I went back and did my ideological work with my daughter. It's okay to make a fuss, no matter what, the little girl's how can't be avoided, but Zhang and bit this kind of thing. It's about Zhang Jian. It's not a trivial matter. Moreover, Zhang and bought this kind of words, but can't hang on his mouth. If you talk too much, Zhang An will always believe that if Zhang An hadn't done any surgery at that time, if there were any moths, it would have harmed her son. Zhang Jian did not go to the hospital, he was waiting in the car. His immune system is not good, and as a result, his parents have tried to avoid him from going to crowded places. Father Jiang's mother Zhang got on the bus, and while Zhang Jian inquired about the status of Yanj, Jiang's phone rang. It was Zhang Tiantian who called. Zhang Tiantian on the phone cried very sadly, Mom, I'm not alive. If I leave, you take care of yourself. Brother and Zhang An are here. My daughter is superfluous. Yes, I am gone and you don't have to worry too much. Oh. When Mother Zhang heard her, she was shaking in fright, and hurriedly called the driver towards the villa. The mouth said, Sweet, sweet, don't do stupid things, what do you think of a silly child, you are the lifeblood of your mother, if you have something, your mother will not be alive, where are you now? I'm on the roof. Zhang Tiantian heard that Mother Zhang was crying. Her original hesitation and aggrieved heart became firmer, and her voice became calmer. She held her cell phone, and cried and smiled, "Mom, no, after me, you and your brother, as well as Jongin, they are all your good children. I'm a superfluous at home. I'm going to die. Your family can live happily. You don't want to miss me in the future. After my death, the villain blackened again." Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 713. Mother Zhang hastily said, "You silly boy, what are you talking about? You can't live without you. How can you be redundant? Do you know how difficult it was when your mother gave birth to you? My mother almost died of bleeding, and that asset mother has never given up on you. How can you give up on yourself? Mom, you gave birth to my brother to bleed blood. I already have Jongin. I am redundant. My brother hates me. My father hit me. Even Jongin bullied me. I am so redundant at home. It's time to die early, and to die early to get a good baby. You don't have to be so extravagant and painful as it is now." Mother Zhang was so frightened that she cried, and repeatedly said in her mouth, "I will not live if you die." Or Zhang's father robbed Zhang's mother's phone and said to Zhang Tiantian on the other side of the phone, "Sweet, what are you thinking about? Dad just hit you because it's Dad's fault, but Dad didn't hate you. What's the matter?" etc. We went back and said, "Dad was wrong." Dad went back and apologized to you. "I do apologize, I do apologize, I do apologize, my brother hates me, and Jongin, she also bullies me. I want your apology to do anything, I do want anything, I am superfluous, I am going to die, I am go to death." The car drove fast. When Jiang's father Zhang mother coaxed Zhang Tiantian constantly, the car had already rushed into the villa. Mother Zhang pushed the window down and looked out. Zhang Tiantian really was sitting on the top of the building, on the edge of the stone fence. She pressed her heart that was leaping, her body trembling, and she burst into tears, "My sweetness. Before such a throat is finished crying, the person has passed out." Among the people who Father Zhang was busy pressing on her, they were probably very strong. Just 2 times, Mother Zhang opened her eyes and slapped her face on Father Jiang's face. "How can you beat sweet, all you, it's you, what to do now, what to do, sweetly have a 3 long and 2 short, I don't want to live." This whole process, probably the most calm is Yanji and Zhang Jian. From beginning to end, the 2 people sat silently in the back row. Yanji bowed her head and her hair was scattered on her cheeks. Zhang Jian did not know what she was looking at, and naturally did not know what she was thinking. He stared at her wound wrapped in gauze, feeling that his heart was also wrapped in layers of gauze. He remembered that when he was very young, he was very sick and hurt so much that he kept crying in the arms of Mother Zhang. Mother Zhang also said to him silently, "He is her lifeblood. And she won't survive. Being ill is a matter of great self-confidence. He doesn't know why he persists till now. When I can't keep it up, I always think that Zhang's father, Mother Zhang, has done so much for him. If he doesn't keep up, how sad they will be. After all, he is the only, irreplaceable being." But now, listening to Zhang's father, Zhang's mother rushing about because of Zhang Tiantian's suicide, he felt that his heart was slowly cooling, a little bit, wrapped in gauze. He is not irreplaceable. In fact, in the eyes of Jiang's father, Mother Zhang, he was not irreplaceable. He had pity on Zhongin and felt sad for her. But now, he feels that he and Zhongin are actually no different. Immediately after the car stopped, Jiang's father and Mother Zhang immediately wanted to rush into the house. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 714. But Zhang Tiantian shouted, "Don't come up, if you dare to come up, I will jump down, I will jump down." Jiang's father, Mother Zhang, was scared to walk into the room again, and had to look up to Jiang Tiantian and continually admit his mistakes in an attempt to persuade Jiang Tiantian to go downstairs. Jiang Tiantian said, "My brother doesn't like me and I hate me. Jiang and bullies me. I'm not alive. I want to die. I want to die." Mother Jiang was anxious to pull Jiang Jian aside. Jian, you can tell me sweetly, you have never hated her at all, you have always liked her, she is your sister, you absolutely do not, you will hate her. You love her so much that you have no time to care for her. Jiang Jian interrupted Mother Jiang's words, "I hate her, I hate it." After hearing this, Jiang Tiantian cried again and again, "My brother hates me so much, then I'm dead, I'm not alive, I'm not alive. My brother has Jiang'an, it's enough, he won't need me at all, hoo hoo." Mother Jiang was also crying, so she didn't kneel before Jiang Jian. Jian, don't talk bad words, you quickly admit that you are wrong, and say a few words with her. Jian, count mom, please. That's your sister. She needs something. Can you be at ease in this life? Jiang Jian pressed his lips, and his lean body stood there, like a piece of wood, without moving, a pair of dark eyes staring at the empty space in front of him, no expression, no one knew what he was thinking. Yanj whispered, "Mom, should I quietly go upstairs to pull my sister?" Mother Jiang waved and motioned for her to hurry. She looked up at Jiang Tiantian and continued, "Your brother has never loved expressing his emotions, you know, he was so good to you since he was a child, and today you would only say that if you bit an. When you are in the car, you tell your mother that what he said to you is too heavy. You have to come back and admit it to you. Sweet, come down, okay, tell your mother what you want, and my mother will give you everything." Father Jiang secretly texted the alarm. After reporting the police, he also looked up and said to Jiang Tiantian, "Sweet, Dad is wrong. Do you come down, don't you like Chanel's new bags? When you come down, Dad will take you to buy a baby, and this will take you. Buy it well." Jiang Tiantian was sitting on the edge of the stone fence. Although he was still crying, the cry was not as heartbreaking as it was just now. "I was tired of crying." She rubbed her eyes with her hands, and her voice was lowered several times. "My brother said I hated me, and my brother said I was dirty. He didn't like me at all, he didn't like me at all. Do auntie like me, what does it mean to be alive?" Mother Jiang glared at Jiang Jian, who said nothing, and screamed sharply, Jian, you speak quickly." Yuan Tiantian said, "You have never hated her." When she saw that Jiang Jian hadn't responded yet, she flew to Jiang Jian's tearful hands and shook Jiang Jian's shoulders in a few ste. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 715. Mother Jiang was excited and looked up. It turned out that Yan Song went up to the top of the building to stimulate Jiang Tiantian. Jiang Tiantian was yelling with her hands fluttering. Sweet, don't move." Mother Jiang stretched out her hand and covered her heart again. She turned her head and stuttered with excitement and said to Father Jiang, "Come up, you go up and grab Sweet." Jiang's father rushed towards the top of the building. Mother Jiang continued to cry with her head up to Jiang Tiantian, trying to appease Jiang Tiantian, Sweet, don't move around, don't move around. What's the matter, let's say it well, don't move around again." Yanj stood 3 steps away from Jiang Tiantian. The Jiang family downstairs couldn't see her at all. She chuckled her lips and smiled at Jiang Tiantian. Although she didn't say a word, she ate deliciously to Jiang over and over again. Sweetly said, "Jump." Jiang Tiantian was so mad that she could not wait to let the Jiang family look at Jiang An's face. She yelled, "You are a woman who you bought. Do you think that I can die, you can become a close-knit cotton padded jacket. You dream, let's go. After a while, my brother has surgery. Our Zhang family will never need you anymore, roll back wherever you come. You probably don't know, your home is out of the garbage, you will have to return your garbage in the future. Yanj didn't speak, and she was still smiling at her, and the wanton smile was so clear that she was clearly not affected by her words. Zhang Tiantian was dazzled when she saw Yan Ji's smile. She waved her fingers and sang the song, "Don't be too proud, sooner or later you will know what kind of thing you are. Parents are good to you now, but because you are still useful to your brother, waiting for you is useless, then you will be thrown out like garbage." Mother Zhang screamed, "Sweet, sweet, don't talk nonsense, quickly, leave the place, the wind is so strong, it will blow you downstairs." Zhang Tiantian turned to stare at Mother Zhang and shouted, "Blow it down and blow it down. I'm dead for almost 100. Save you all from abandoning me." Father Zhang ran to the top of the building at this time. When he heard Zhang Tianatian's words, his whole body was full of cold sweat, and he rushed forward, "Sweet, listen to Dad, don't do stupid things, don't do stupid things." Zhang Tiantian waved wildly, go down, you don't like me at all, you don't need me at all, I'd better die if I live." Yanj rushed to grab her wrist at this time, and her intimate voice said anxiously, "Sister, come down." Zhang Tiantian hated the host very much. When she saw the song rushed up, she immediately tweeted, "Get out, don't call me my sister. I don't have such a cheap sister as you. I don't have a sister at all." Yanj pinched Zhang Tianatian's wrists. She couldn't push Yanj. When he saw Jiang's father rushing over, she simply grabbed Yanj's shoulder with his other hand and tried to pull her hand backwards. As soon as Zhang's father rushed to catch Zhang Tiantian, he listened to Zhang Tianatian's scream, and dragged the song to the floor together. Jiang's father could only hold the side of Yanj's shoulder. Didn't catch her own daughter? As soon as he thought about it, the tension in his hands was relaxed a bit, and Yan's song was dragged by Zhang Tiantian, and he fell down immediately. The roof is actually outside the open balcony on the 3rd floor, and the distance to the ground is equivalent to the 2nd floor. When it fell, it wasn't for Zhang Tianatian's body that had been pressed because of the song, breaking Zhang Tianatian's one leg. It is estimated that Zhang Tiantian would stand up without any harm. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 716. Yanj also seemed to be very damaged, but she held her body and kept covering her chest and said she was uncomfortable. After the ambulance arrived, they pulled everyone directly into the hospital. Yanj had a whole body examination, because she kept saying that her chest hurts, so the doctor felt that her internal organs had been slightly shaken, and she needed to be raised for a while. In comparison, Zhang Tiantian was injured more severely than Yan Ji, and her leg was broken. After the operation, I don't know how long to lie in bed. As soon as Yanj had finished his examination, he had not been lying on the bed for a long time, and was pulled by Zhang mother to apologize to Zhang Tiantian. Zhang Tiantian was still crying in the ward, her cries were all over the corridor. Yanj entered the room and immediately apologized to her sincerely, "Sweet and sorry, if it wasn't for the push of your father, you wouldn't fall, and my sister didn't hold you in time, seeing you just broke legs, there is no danger to life, my sister is assured." Zhang Tiantian. She turned angrily and rushed out of bed to sing a song. As a result, her movements touched her legs, and the painful cry was called a heartbreaker. Mother Zhang knew that Zhang'an could not speak, but did not expect that Zhang'an could mess up a simple apology, and yelled angrily, "Go out, get out." Yanj was returned to the villa by the driver. Zhang's mother is no longer in the villa. Originally, Zhang's father, Zhang's mother, had to arrange another person to replace Zhang's mother from the house. However, it didn't happen that this thing happened, and therefore, the people who had sent him had come over. Only Zhang Jian was left. It was already night, and the entire villa was not lit. Yanj entered the door and turned on the light, only to find that Zhang Jian was sitting on the sofa in the living room, always staring at the wall. This guy, sitting motionless there, was scary at first glance. Yan Ji was startled, patted his heart and said, "Brother, why are you sitting on the sofa? Why didn't you turn on the light?" "It scared me." Zhang Jian looked up and said, "Why have you been discharged? How is it? Did you fall?" Yanj shook his head and slowly walked over. "Just because the internal organs were shocked, nothing serious. The doctor said to prescribe the medicine, but my parents said that I don't need to take the medicine, and I will slowly supplement it later." Seeing her still shouting parents intimately, Zhang Jian immediately cast a mockery on his eyes. "Why are you back alone? Sweet legs are broken. They have to be hospitalized for a while. Parents don't have time to come back. Let Xiao Wang send me back first." Yanj took Zhang Jian's hand and walked towards the kitchen. "Brother, aren't you hungry? Will you cook?" Zhang Jian didn't say anything. When he was pulled by Yanj, he could feel the faltering of Yanj's walking, and her look of energy and weakness was uncomfortable. So take the initiative to embrace Yanj's waist, let Yanj lean on his body. Before he answered, his stomach murmured. "I didn't eat in the morning, and toss to this day." Even if he always eats less, he can't bear the hunger that day. Yanj rubbed his stomach and said, "Brother, I'm hungry too. You say, what shall we eat?" She opened the refrigerator, flipped out a few eggs, took out the frozen noodles, and lay 2 bowls of noodles. Zhang Jian never did these things. He didn't expect that Yanj would open fire and cook noodles and eggs. He was curious and asked her, "How can you do this?"